want to bring you some headlines. We are getting a CNN reporter posting on X about Trump's reaction to these IEEPA tariff rulings. Trump saying that the ruling is a, quote, disgrace, and saying that he has a backup plan for tariffs after ruling. This is something that Anne-Marie has been so excellent on, that this White House does have a plan B. I also want to bring in to this excellent discussion Nathan Dean, senior U.S. policy analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence. Nathan, let me just get your initial reaction to this decision.
So my reaction is just on board with what Anne-Marie was saying is that Section 122 is most likely what you're going to see President Trump turn to, which is this 15% tariff at 150 days. Now, that gives the Trump administration plenty of time to do other tariffs via Section 232 or Section 301, and they have them out by this summer. But there's a couple of things that we think our clients should note. And first is that this does take away a little bit of President Trump's negotiating tactics, if you will, with other countries. And we're specifically thinking Canada here, but also just to call this in a low probability scenario, if President Trump wants to transfer those 122 tariffs into something else within 150 days, he's going to be doing that just months before the midterm elections. So we are going to be looking at his statements over the next few weeks to see maybe this is not something the Trump administration wants to do because it's easy to launch investigations. It's much more difficult to put tariffs back on place on an American populace that generally is not on board with President Trump's tariff strategy.
And Nathan, a lot of people agreeing with you. Neil Dutta of Renaissance Macro writing in, I don't think we've heard the last from Trump in tariffs. This part is important, though. This point Neil makes. The issue is if he does not dial the tariff threat back on, he basically looks like a lame duck. The issue is more political than economic. At least now, if Trump turns the trade knob back on, we get more uncertainty. If he decides to give in, he is basically cooked politically. And Mike, this is something that you were saying, too, that there are options here, but all these options, they just maybe result in more uncertainty as we try to figure out what corporate America, what environment they're going to have to be dealing with.
Well, it looks like the first thing that they would do is use something called Section 122, which allows the president to put on 15% tariffs for up to 150 days in just about any case he wants, if he can say there's an international balance of payment problems. And I assume that's going to be their first fallback. It is only 150 days, but it does kind of keep some tariffs in place, which is important to the president. And then, as Anne-Marie's been saying, there are a number of other possible things they can use. The Section 232, the national security issue that they've used with China. There's one called Section 201. That needs an investigation. They need to have the International Trade Commission basically say certain industries have been affected by trade policies, and then they can put up to a 50% additional tariff on for those industries for a period of 4 years. There is a discrimination against U.S. businesses, Section 301. That could also be used, doesn't have any limit on tariffs, but they also need an investigation there. The other final one that they might try to fall back on right away is Section 338 of the 1974 Act. Now, this has never been used before, but if the president can assert there is discrimination against U.S. commerce, which essentially would be sectors of the economy rather than individual countries, then they can impose 50% tariffs. So it's not going to be just a matter of which sections they're going to choose, but how they frame this to try to fit the conditions of each of these sectors.